Hey there YouTube. This base may look ordinary, but you know I don't bring you ordinary bases. This build weighs in at 113,000 stone, 18,000 metal, and that includes doors, and offers you 32 C4 worth of protection. This base is also covered by 4 separate external tool covers and takes 16 C4 to fully grief. I'm showing you the TC layout now in Fortify. The brown foundations are twig and will be removed. It's very important to get the spacing exactly right. Each TC covers exactly 1/4 of the base, and so if raiders get a TC, they can only grief 1/4 of the base. Let me move on with the Fortify run through, showing you each floor, as I continue to explain the advantages of the TC placement in this base. If raiders want to grief your whole base, they will need to get all of your TCs. I'll demonstrate in game that this works in a moment. If raiders want to use a TC to build up, that's just fine since your loot is very well protected. You have 2 main loot rooms, one on the 3rd floor and one on the 5th floor. Even if raiders get into the center of one of your loot rooms, they will need a full 16 C4 or 32 rockets to get all of your loot. Both of the loot rooms are split up into 16 enclosed 1x1s, but you'll see in the walkthrough shortly that it's still very convenient to access all of them. Before I get to the base walkthrough, let me demonstrate how the TCs work, since that's one of the most important features of this base. I've deauthorized myself on every TC except for one, and now I'm going to try to grief the base. As you'll see, I can only place walls to block access to exactly 1/4 of the base. Since this base has 4 sets of doors and 4 sets of ladder hatches on each level, raiders really do need to take every TC to entirely grief you. You'll also notice that you don't need a particularly flat space to build this base, because you can use ramps to get the spacing right on the TC even if the ground isn't flat. If you don't know how to do this, just ask. Now let me take you on a tour of the base in-game. As I approach the base, notice how the overhanging roof sections would allow defenders to shoot at me no matter where I am. Take note that in the Fortify instructions, all of the floors of the loot rooms are upgraded to metal, and any wall in between 2 loot rooms is upgraded to metal to make picking harder. It will be easy for raiders to get into the center of the base here, but harder for them to know where to go from here. There's nothing important on the first 2 floors, so raiders will need to find a way to boost to the 3rd floor. In the 3rd floor loot room here, I've left the doors open to demonstrate how, even though the loot is divided, it still feels like you just have one large loot room. It's both convenient and safer for your loot to have your rooms like this. You'll see that I pushed all of the chests up to the front of the rooms, so that you don't even need to enter the individual 1x1s. I haven't designated a special place for small furnaces in this base. You can put them in the 1x1s, or you can put them in the open here. As I head up to the 5th floor loot room, I want to draw your attention to how spacious this base is, and how easy it is to move around in it. If you have a large group, there are tons of places where you can meet all together to make plans or gear up. Keep in mind that even though this base does have a lot of wide open spaces, that doesn't make it weaker. It's just a pleasant bonus. Now I'll head up to the roof and show you some of the defensive features of the base. There's a small room up here that can allow you to quickly spawn up on the roof and grab weapons if your base is under attack. You'll see that there's space for at least 4 beds and some boxes. The room also allows some added cover and concealment if enemies are shooting at you. You'll see that I have overhanging roof tiles on each corner that allow you to shoot down at any point along your walls. The roof is very customizable, but this is one great way to set it up. If you can't hit an enemy from one location in this roof, there will be another location that will allow you to. I'm advertising this base as a 36 C4 base. It would also take 16 C4 to fully grief. Let me explain how I got that number as I play for you some raid tests at double speed. I upgraded every other wall to sheet metal on the wall facing me here so that I can make sure I shot the rockets at exactly the right place to maximize splash damage. This first test is a foundation wipe test. I want to see how much damage I have to do to collapse the 3rd and 5th floor loot rooms along one wall. As this plays, I'm going to summarize the results and explain to you the actual best way to raid this base, because foundation wiping won't be the cheapest way. It takes 12 rockets to destroy all the foundations on his side, but that does surprisingly little damage to the upper floors. You'll need to take out at least the next row of foundations as well. Double those 12 rockets and you get 24 rockets. So it'll take you at least 24 rockets to take out one whole side. It'll take slightly fewer for each additional side because some of the foundations will have already been damaged. Regardless, this doesn't seem to be the cheapest way to raid. I think the cheapest way to raid this base is also the simplest. Use 2 C4 to blast your way into the middle of the base. Triple boost up to the ladder hatch and use a C4 on it. Use 16 C4 to blow down all the doors of the 3rd floor loot room. Then triple boost again up to the 5th floor loot room, using another C4 to get through the ladder hatch. And finally use an additional 16 C4 to get all of the 5th floor doors. That makes 36 C4, which is a very respectable amount of protection for a base this size. At about the 7:30 mark of this video, I will also demonstrate a raid where I use 1 C4 to enter a door, and then shoot rockets straight up into the bottoms of the loot rooms to try to collapse all the loot down. You'll see that each side takes 22 rockets using that method, which also is not cheaper. I'll close my commentary now and leave the additional raid footage to run for you to watch if you're interested. Understanding how rocket splash damage works and how stability works is useful information for any base builder, so you might want to continue watching. Thank you so much for watching. Let me know what you think and make sure to subscribe.